Now with the latest weekend headlines, it's the ITV News.
Good afternoon, I'm Faye Barker. A senior Labour MP has come out in support of a Tory MP who made allegations of blackmail against Downing Street. Chris Bryant, chairman of the Commons Committee on Standards, says he's spoken to about a dozen Tory MPs in the past few days who'd made similar allegations of whips threatening to withdraw funding for their constituencies if they try to oust Boris Johnson. William Ragg, who made the original claim, says he's meeting with Scotland Yard detectives next week to discuss the allegations, with Downing Street denying it. Well, our political correspondent Daniel Hewitt joins us now. So, Daniel, serious allegations here, and now the police becoming involved. That's right.
William Ragg, senior Conservative backbench MP, chair of a very important Commons Select Committee, very publicly raised concerns this week about the government, he says, threatening Tory MPs who want Boris Johnson out, saying that they would withdraw funding from their constituencies. Very serious allegation, and threatening to blackmail them. He has now contacted the Metropolitan Police, and he's told us this morning he'll be speaking to an officer early next week. He has told me that everything I said in my committee this week can be substantiated either by me or by others. I think from that we can assume fairly that he has evidence, he believes, to back up his claims. Boris Johnson says he hasn't seen no evidence of these allegations of blackmail. William Ragg says it should be up to the police, not Downing Street, to see if this has been happening. OK, and then today another MP is also supporting these allegations. Yeah, Chris Bryant, chair of the Commons Committee on Standards, as you say, he says he's spoken to around a dozen Tory MPs who are effectively backing up what William Ragg is saying, that they have been threatened, money withdrawn from their constituencies for schools and other projects. He says he's also heard MPs alleging that the Prime Minister himself was making these threats. Downing Street denies that. Chris Bryant says if this is true, this behaviour should be investigated by the police because it would be a matter of misconduct in public office. All this comes ahead of a huge week for the Prime Minister. We are expecting Sue Gray to announce the findings of her inquiry into alleged parties in Downing Street. The government operation is in overdrive to try and save Boris Johnson. It is no exaggeration to say that Boris Johnson right now is fighting for his political life. Daniel Hewitt, thank you very much. Now, the Department of Health has denied reports that the government is considering pausing plans to make it compulsory for NHS workers in England to be vaccinated against coronavirus. Health service staff who haven't been jabbed need to have had their first dose by February the 3rd so that both can be administered before April the 1st when the new rules come into effect. However, there are fears that could lead to more than 70,000 workers being forced to leave their jobs. Well, Labour says more needs to be done to encourage unvaccinated staff to get the jab.
I think what's needed now is a full-scale effort to work with the managers, the unions, the staff, to persuade those that are still not vaccinated to get vaccinated. And that's where I'd like to see the government really focus its efforts in the couple of months ahead.
Russia's defence minister is due to have talks with his British counterpart, Defence Secretary Ben Wallace, over the situation in Ukraine. It comes amid growing fears in the West that a Russian invasion of Ukraine could be imminent. Tensions have been high since Russia started amassing troops and carrying out military drills close to the border with Ukraine. The UN has condemned a deadly airstrike on a prison in Yemen. 70 people were killed after the facility in a stronghold for Houthi rebels was hit. The Saudi-led coalition government deny carrying out the strike. Here, a man's appeared in court charged with murder and attempted murder. 86-year-old Frida Walker was found dead at her home in Derbyshire, while her husband Ken remains in hospital with life-threatening injuries. Vasile Kulea was remanded in custody. And Arnold Schwarzenegger is reported to have been involved in a car crash in Los Angeles. The Hollywood star and former governor of California is believed to have been driving when it was involved in the four-vehicle collision. A woman was taken to hospital with head injuries. He was unharmed. Tennis and Britain's last remaining hope at the Australian Open, Dan Evans, has been knocked out of the competition. Britain's #2 was up against the Canadian Felix Auger-Aliassime in his third-round match, but he lost in 3 straight sets. And finally, to the reopening of the UK's oldest working cinema. Film lovers are being welcomed back to the Electric Cinema in Birmingham after COVID closed its doors in March 2020. It was feared the historic venue would disappear forever despite showing countless movies since 1909. But as Helen Keenan reports, new owners came to the rescue.
A building that has a remarkable history of survival. It's been a news theatre, a venue for adult entertainment, and for 112 years, a cinema, the UK's oldest working one. Shut since March 2020 due to the pandemic, the Electric Cinema in Birmingham, now under new ownership, has been saved once again and has reopened to the public.
It was in doubt, yes, and I'm very excited to be back here because it's a place that means a lot to me. I first came here when I was 16, so about 20-odd, almost 30 years ago now.
There's not one around every corner, do you know what I mean?
Different, like retro sort of style.
Yeah, unique. You can't beat a cinema like this. It's heritage, it's the atmosphere, it's the watching a film in a place like this. This is the only place to watch them.
In 1909, it was silent movies that graced these screens. By 1930, the cinema had added sound. But the popularity of the picture house began to wane with the introduction of television. Today's threat is streaming services, but the new owner believes cinemas do still have a future.
Bond came out, Spider-Man, $1 billion worldwide. It proved beyond a doubt that people want to come back to the cinema, and it's the best place to see a film, let's face it.
Steeped in a century's worth of history, it's hoped this special cinema will survive for many more years to come. Helen Keenan, ITV News.
And that is it. Romilly Weeks will be here with all the day's news and sport at 5:30. Until then, have a very good afternoon. Bye-bye.